Good evening. This is Jared Rand. Welcome to a Time for Change call for it's 9 p.m. Eastern, Friday, July 13th, 2018. And I'd like to welcome everybody. There's a couple things that I'll cover here real briefly before we get into Q&A. Information that was put out there from an individual was, people wanted questions and answered questions and on information that was disrespectful, to say the least. But neither here nor there. It was printed up by or written by Stephen Rower Tank, accusing me of certain things and making certain statements. But, it's old information that happened over 6 months ago, going on 7 months. And, I basically, my attitude is that I have zero ill attitude towards Tank, towards what he's doing. Same with Kim. I'm still looking for a legitimate individuals that could actually help assist with safe transfer of funds. But, I haven't had a need to communicate, nor have they communicated with me all this time. So either way, neither of us have communicated with each other for the last 6 months, at least, going on 7. And I've had some people that, because that was my commitment to see if I could help them with transfer of funds safely, and I've talked to several people over the course of the last several months, and when I finally vetted and found out if they could, they said they could do that they could arrange this and that, and then I found out that wasn't the case, that they really couldn't follow through. So, basically I'm looking for people still that can help transfer funds safely without interruption, just to cover that. The comment on the med beds, Randy Kramer saying that Rand has no access to the med beds. No, I don't. Not to the holographic med bed. Not at all. He's exactly right. There are 3 different med beds from 3 different sources that are different. Each one's different. And that one I don't have access to. No big deal. I think people get confused when we talk about these technologies. I think that they run into each other. People think that since I'm aware and I have access to some of these technologies, that I have them sitting somewhere in a warehouse that I can just, go and access them, and that's not the case. I have to follow protocol and direction, and I have to be given the authority to access that technology. So, a lot of things, I have no idea whatsoever why that information was printed or why it was put out there today or yesterday. But, those things, I'm addressing. And I will answer this so we don't get a bunch of people asking the same questions. And I'm not going to make this call out of a, conflict, because it's not. I have no need or necessity or motivation to, basically discredit someone or disenchant them or attack them, character-wise or personally-wise. So, but people ask about this quantum system. If you remember, Kim came out a while ago with a detailed description of that system, that financial system. And my answer to this is that it is Prime Source Creator God's system. It's created by Source, created by our Creator, Prime Source Creator God, and that it is heaven and Prime Source Creator God's system, basically it, bottom line. So without going into technical detail on it and everything, and I'm not an expert on the system. I have very little knowledge of it. So basically, that's my answer for that. To get the information out there so that people understand. And let's see if there's anything else that I can think of. And there doesn't seem to be anything. But, on my end, I have zero feelings of, and it's not that, as he stated in his letter or his editorial or whatever you want to call it, that I was fearful of Kim, and I know who she is, and I'm very careful not to slam her. I just don't slam people. I just don't believe in it. I just think everybody has a right to their thoughts and ideas, and that's it. Period. People in our civilization have a real hard time. I mean, I've seen people that get in lock fights and horn fights and cutting each other and slamming each other. It accomplishes nothing. I just don't. I don't bother to engage in that type of activity, and I won't. Period. I wish Kim many blessings, love, and I wish Tank, Stephen Rowe, love and many blessings, period. And, to answer another thing that just came to mind is and I don't have to answer any of this stuff, but I just thought, I'd address some of these things. Another one is the fact that, I'm playing both ends. I'm a cabal, a new elite association, that's what I'm doing, and I'm with them, and I've made my choice. That's just absolute hogwash, period. That's all. That's all I need to address that with. Complete, absolute guess or assumption. So that it's not true, period. These things come about, and they happen, and people say things about other people, and other people read it, and then they start wondering, and, it's not necessary. Like I said, I have not had any communication with either Kim or Stephen in over 6 months. Almost, it's going on 7 months. I've not had a call. Even in the beginning, after we did have a conversation, the three of us, for I don't know how long it was, 3 hours, something, quite in depth, covered a lot of things. He mentioned I was awkwardly trying to, keep up with Kim or something. These things are just silly. And, we had a good conversation. We had good interaction, the three of us. And that was the last time we had anything. And then on the conference call, when I invited Kim to the conference call, I don't carry a cell phone. So I didn't have a cell phone for her to text me to let me know that she had a security issue and she couldn't get on the call. But she didn't call me. She could have called me. She had my phone number to let me know. So, frankly, all that stuff is just old, and it took place over a half a year ago. It's crazy. So my attitude about it is that it is what it is, and I have no animosity or negativity towards any of it. I just address those certain areas and issues, and that's it. My direction is to assist humanity and this planet into a loving, good direction, period. And anything I can do to assist that and help and support it, I will do. And that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm sticking myself out here. Anyway, that's enough with that. We don't need to go into that anymore. We don't need to address it anymore. It's done. It's over, and that's it. And I think that we had a meditation today about forgiveness and respect. And I think that humanity as a whole, all of us, are guilty of this, that we have a tendency to stray away from respect and forgiveness of each other, There's a lot of animosity that flies around for some reason or another. And I think that it causes a lot of problems within our civilization, a lot of conflict. And it is a good idea to start trying to work on the fact that we could all do better on forgiveness and respect for one another. And then also, when we forgive ourselves, we have to start with ourselves. And we have to look at ourselves and to determine, what we need to address, what we need to take care of within ourselves. And we also have to respect ourselves deeply and not just superficially. So, there's a lot of things that we've all witnessed, I'm sure, in a lot of different situations in our lives where, sometimes you think a lot of things, but it's not good to say them. It really isn't. There's a lot of situations that you can be in where you're thinking things and and then, you open your mouth and you start stating them. A lot of times it's good just to think them as good and just to keep them to yourself and not just spew them out there. So, what we're looking at on a whole is that humanity is progressing in the right direction. We have it's difficult for people to see clearly when there's a veil of deception. There's a huge veil of deception. There's a lot of people deceiving. There's a lot of off-worlders deceiving, and there's a lot of misdirection and misguidance. And I guess it's up to the people. It's up to people to follow or pay attention to whatever direction they feel vibrates with them. Whatever they feel is in comfort and feels good to them, then it's up to them to follow that direction. I don't believe that there's a situation where someone has to be forced to do things, but I believe that people have freedom of choice, and if they feel and they vibrate, it's like if you have a gut feeling or a good vibration, then you follow it. And we're trying our best in the meditation group to help humanity get away from violence, from anger, from conflict, from ridicule, and a lot of areas that we can help. And obviously, in the meditation, and I've mentioned this before, and you can research it, look it up, review, read a lot. You'll find it where it says that each human, when they meditate, can affect up to 1 million humans. And you don't have to meditate for 2 hours. You can meditate for a couple of minutes effectively and deeply. You can meditate while you're going across during your day and consistently. And see, we have these lives that have been constructed for us and dictated to us on how to live on this planet. And we're often taken, separated from our true selves. We're twisted and turned and pulled and misdirected and misguided. And we always have a tendency to become distracted. And, we all succumb to that at one time or another. And to be distracted and not to be able to concentrate on a different direction from all of this goop and all of this stuff that's being flung out there and thrown out there is it gets confusing. A lot of people get stressed out. A lot of people get frustrated. They get deterred and perturbed at about all these things that are being stated, all these things that are being said, and who to believe and what to believe, and and my suggestion to people is that just look at it very carefully, be very cautious. There's no reason to be to ridicule. There's no reason to attack, but just to be cautious, and be cautious and respectful, and that keeps your vibrations higher than normal. The dark influences want us to be low frequency. They want us to be at a low vibration so that they can continually control us and direct us like a herd of cattle or sheep. And there's a lot of people that are becoming clear, that are waking to the facade, the falsity of everything, the fakeness, the different statements that we see, different things that we hear and we watch, things that are configured, different directions. I mean, every second something is taking place, something different. Over here they're saying this, over there they're saying that, and it just continues and it continues and continues, and it just never ends. But the key thing with humanity is that collectively, on our heart, the heart and mind are separate. They have two different open power centers, and through our heart, and to feel and think through our heart, and to realize that collectively we can literally change the direction of how things are. And that's why we've had so many through the years, and literally thousands of years, and literally hundreds of thousands of years, we've always had this manipulation, deception, misguidance, not authentic, false situations that have confused humanity and directions, and humanity not knowing their roots or who they really are. Where did they come from? Why are they here? How long have they been here? What's their true history? What's their true background? And if you ask people that, I don't think there's anybody that really knows. You can ask all the gurus, the Jagat gurus, and many others that are on terra firma, and they don't know. They have ideas, but we don't have a history book of authenticity and truth that can really tell where we came from. And when you think about that, and you look forward, and you look at the planet Earth, Gaia, and you look at where we're at today as a civilization, and what we can do to shift things in a peaceful, loving, and good direction. And it's collective. There are so many confused people in humanity that are just very twisted and misdirected and misguided. And a lot of them have been subjected to a lot of intensities, a lot of applications that have made them that way. And, it's difficult, and that's why I think the majority of humanity is a good, loving energy. I think for the long run, I think humanity for the best is good. Yeah, there's elements that aren't so good that we have witnessed, and others that hide under the surface that are even worse than that. But in our current status as a civilization, we have a direction that we can take, and we're moving in, that can transform the planet and transform the direction we were headed, and that's what we've done. There's two schools of thought. There's one that doom and gloom, where no one cares about humanity, and all the galactics don't care, and all this stuff is a bunch of hogwash, and we're going to crash and burn, and all this doom and gloom is going to come down and scorch the planet, and on and on and on. And then there's the other direction that you can choose that says we're headed in a very good direction. there's a lot of activity that's being squeezed out and up to the surface so that it can be revealed to humanity, so that humanity can see the problems and the situations that have basically grown for many, 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 many years within our social structure, the different leaderships, the different governments on the planet, and how they have treated humanity, how they've treated their fellow humans. Some of them are not all human, so you can't say they're, there are some that aren't all human. There are some that aren't human. So we have a mixture. But, there's a lot of deep-seated history that's been suppressed from humanity on who we are, and what we can do. And we work together, and we stay at a higher vibrational frequency. In other words, our thoughts, our feelings, to practice, to get into habit, where if you see something that you would like, I'd like to have this, I'd like it to be this way. You think about that, and you see it, and you feel it, and create it. It's a fact. You create it in your heart, you create it in your mind, and you let it go. It develops. I mean, we can, it's a fact that our ability to change course and direction in history, to influence different game plans and directions of humanity, we can do it. And it is about helping each other. It's about serving humanity. You picture a planet, an Earth, in a time where we work to assist each other. We don't work to make a living. And I've mentioned this before. We assist each other. We serve each other. We help each other. We love each other. We care for each other. And we, living the way it is now, I'm sure a lot of people would say we can do better than this as a civilization, and we can. And, the attitude is that we can enjoy and enjoy this planet and enjoy our lives, rather than to be stressed out and distraught and poor and financially disrupted and fearful and lots of anxieties and constant depressions. And we look at all of these things that occur within humanity, brought down to humanity from the controllers of the planet, and corralled, so to speak, where we have a major percentage of Americans are considered drug addicts, opioid addicts, because of all of the corruption and manipulation of different industries, healthcare industry, all of these industries that have participated in the degradation of the human civilization, the destruction of it, the elimination of it. And there's many that have done this, and they continue to do it. And see, it's our position, I believe that it's our position collectively to stop that, to expand and grow. And you think about this for a minute. And I was criticized about saying this by Stefan about the fact that I wanted to, in so many words that I'm pro all the people on the planet, and it goes on from there, but negative application. But the fact of the matter is that if you look at planet Earth and you look at the surface space on the planet, and you realize what the planet can support as far as humanity, research that, look that up, review it, and you'll get the answers to it. Is that we can only support a certain level, food and clothing. That's why we have, right now, we have close we have over 1 billion, close to 2 billion humans on the verge of starvation on planet Earth. We have deforested the planet by over 8 billion acres, okay? We have 5 to 6 floating islands in our oceans of debris and plastic, over 200,000 square miles apiece. We have, and you can look this up, research it, and find it for yourselves if you want. We have all the oil production, and by the way, oil renews itself. And look that up. It's an organic. It replenishes itself. Different biomatter and life forms and plants and animals through millions and millions and billions of years that have literally gone into the ground, decomposed. But if you look at the oil on the ocean floors, there's a lot of stress cracks and fractures where oil seeps out. The oil well in the Gulf that we had the damage done to it that caused all that leaking, and then they came in with Corexit. Corexit's banned in most countries, by the way, and they've been pumping that stuff. And what Corexit does is it coagulates the oil and weighs it down. You can look this up and review this, and you can read about Corexit, what it does to crude oil. And you spray it, and it causes the oil to coagulate and get heavy and drop to the bottom of the ocean floor, so you can't see it on the surface, so it hides it. And that's what Corexit does. It clumps it up and it hides it, and it causes it to drop to the bottom to the ocean floor. And so we have oil, crude oil, in all of our oceans now as pollution. And the phytoplankton in our oceans is actually it's the key to providing oxygen for us to live, okay? And when that phytoplankton gets reduced and it dies is because we've got a lot of dead zones in our oceans. And what dead zones mean is that there's no oxygen in the water. The sea life can't survive, can't live there. So you get migrations of sea life that go to different parts of the planet and different ocean areas so that they can breathe, so that they can continue to live. A lot of sea life gets suffocated, can't breathe because they hit dead zones in oceans and they drown, they roll up on the beaches because they're oxygen deprived. So, we look at our planet, we look at what is in front of us to take care of. Because literally we are stewards of this planet. It is our responsibility to take care of it if we want it to take care of us. And so when you look at these things, these are realities. These are, it's not smoke and mirrors. It's not scare tactic things. It's just a reality for humanity to understand that, we've got a lot of these things to take care of. And they're crucial and they're critical. We've got... our ozone is in serious condition, our ozone layer. We have, a lot of things that have taken place to cause this pollution. Some of it's been recklessness, disrespect. Again, not enough respect for the things around you, for the planet, for people, so on and so forth. And it causes all of this mess that just keeps building up that people aren't really aware. They're not cognizant to the fact of these things are happening to this planet. Now, we live on this planet, and eventually we're going to be able to get off of it and, like I've said, colonize other planets and everything. But right now, we have to determine how we can fix all of this damage that's been done to planet Earth. Now, obviously, there have been other civilizations on planet Earth that have come and gone. You had Atlantis, you had Lemuria, you've had others, civilizations on Earth throughout the thousands and thousands of years. And, always they end up disappearing and being cleaned out, and a new civilization started, and takes over, and then you go to another, that civilization's wiped out, and then another civilization started. And, there's cities in different parts of the world that are built upon cities, that we don't know about, that we haven't been told about, that we haven't been informed about. And, there's a lot of mystery, and there's a lot of kept secrets from humanity that will come out. We will make sure that they come out, that are going to be full disclosure for humanity and the human race. Some of it's not pleasant, but, in order to move on, you have to know the truth. And when you don't know the truth, how can you move forward without knowing your roots? So we look at these things, and we look at, there have been other extinction events on planet Earth. Obviously, everybody knows about the dinosaurs, and there have been other, life forms that have gone extinct. And, we have collectively, good, bad, and ugly, we have caused, serious damage to things on the planet, living environment. And getting back to the phytoplankton in the oceans, it is the majority of the oxygen produced in our atmosphere for us to breathe comes from the phytoplankton in the oceans. Now, the trees and the plants make up the rest. And when you look at that fact and you realize that if, we don't correct and fix the things, and we will be able to collectively. So this isn't a doom and gloom scenario. But it's important to get this information out to whoever we can so that, people start becoming very, very aware of the situations of the planet. Because you can't, eventually it's not going to be ignored. You can't ignore it. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation at, let's say, a high altitude, any of you. I'm sure some of you have, where the air is much thinner. And you get to a high enough altitude, and it's very hard to breathe. Your lungs, you get very high, your lungs can bleed. You start coughing up blood because you're not being able to oxygenate the blood because there's not enough oxygen. So when our oxygen is depleted, and you can also research this in the year 600, I guess you call it the 6th century, our oxygen content on Earth was 31%. Today, it's roughly between 16 and 18%. You see the difference. Now, if any of you have taken, if you've inhaled pure oxygen, from a machine, you get out of wind. Sometimes, like when I played football, we had sometimes we'd use oxygen to clear our heads and to get a boost of energy. And it really feels good when you have pure oxygen and you inhale it. But imagine when that oxygen is not there and you can't breathe. It's hard to breathe. It's the worst feeling in the world. I'm sure people that have asthma know what I'm talking about, or COPD. But it's very close to feeling like you're gonna buy the farm. But addressing these things, the technologies that have been kept from humanity are vast. There's many. There's a lot of them. There are thousands of them, and that's just through people that have invented things, and they've been kept and taken and hidden, and the people have been wiped out or disappeared or threatened. And you realize that, and I've talked to a lot of inventors through the years. Over the last 30, 40 years, I've talked to a lot of inventors who've invented some miraculous things, phenomenal things. And, I've seen them disappear. I mean, I've been in a situation where I'm sitting at lunch with an inventor, and the inventor falls over dead. So, you look at these things and you realize that what are these inventions? And it's like I said, anything of anything has already been invented. So, it's already been invented somewhere in the universes. And the technologies that humanity has been kept from are anti-gravitic drive, which basically can take you anywhere you want to go very quickly. And we have ways to clean up the oceans, technologies that are being kept from us. And we have medical technologies, like I've mentioned. There's several of those, many different kinds. There's equipment, and then there's pill form, pills that you can take, different applications. But it's a very broad spectrum of different technologies. And, they're scheduled to be released to humanity. How that's going to be done, there's been many different ideas on how that's going to be done, on when. Everybody wants to know when. And so we sit and we wait. And we should be demanding that these technologies be released to humanity. But see, we have all of these companies, all of these corporations and stuff that are relying on the capitalism, on profit and loss and gain and money and power and control and manipulation. And a lot of these companies don't want those technologies to be given to humanity because then they won't be needed. They won't. Okay? I mean, we will have the means for us collectively to help the planet blossom and grow and clean up things. And, that's something that, right now we're pushing to have happen so that the dark side, the aggressive, the manipulators, the controllers of the planet, don't get their way and keep humanity enslaved and suppressed and ignorant to so many wonderful technologies that are available. They're available, but you can't access them. So once we're able to, and the change, the frequency of our existence on the planet, and these things are released to us, and they'll start popping up. They will start popping up. There's like I said, there's a doom and gloom scenario, and then there's a freedom scenario, a liberation scenario for humanity. And I choose the liberation scenario for humanity. I don't choose the doom and gloom. I don't choose the dead end. And, that's all of our free rights to choose what we want to choose. We believe what we choose to believe. So right now we're going to, for about an hour here, we'll do a Q&A. And we'll do like we've always done, where everybody is respectful and doesn't disrupt the lines. And we'll do star 6. So what I'll do is I'll unmute everybody, and so people can star 6 themselves and ask a question. I'll do my best to answer it. Know some things, and know a little bit of a lot of things, but not a lot of things. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, so the first person. Yes, hello.
This is Cindy from Long Beach. Can you hear me?
Sure can, Cindy.
I have an important question for you regarding the Redwoods. I received an email from the Sierra Club that of the 398,000 Old Coast growth redwoods that exist, that Trump is planning on allowing all but 90,000 trees to be left. He's going to let the timber industry harvest them. And I'm terribly conflicted about this because I'm the person I told you about that is going to fund David Millark reforesting. He's already working on it, the old growth trees that have been logged. So can we hold a special meditation to stop those parties, the industry, and Trump from harvesting the last of our old sequoia redwood forests that were alive when the Roman Empire was here? You know, we had an impact on the children that came out of the Thai cave, and it's just, I'm terribly conflicted. How are we supposed to replant a forest if they're going to allow them to hack down and harvest these old trees that really should just be left alone for us and for the planet? Help.
Yeah. May I address this, please, Jared?
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
Yes, just this last week, the Senate passed a vote or something to allow legalization of farming of hemp. Now, hemp crops you can get 3 hemp crops a year, whereas it takes 20 years to grow a tree. So if we start growing hemp instead of corn for ethanol, we can replace the need to use trees for lumber and you can make hempcrete and hemp rope and hemp clothing and hemp leather for your shoes and all kinds of things. And we can replace the Kimberly-Clark Pampers industry. And
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with what you're suggesting, but they should leave what's left of the old coast growth ancient sequoia redwoods alone and not harvest them. That's what I'm mentioning.
We'll do a meditation for all of the trees.
Oh, God, thank you.
On the planet, and all of the old growth up in the mountains that are still there. It's different when a disease, takes out our old growth trees, but we should be planting trees.
That's what David's doing. David Millard.
See, in the lumber industry, the way the lumberjacks work and lumber companies would work is that they would go in and they would select areas to cut down and to thin out the forest, and then use that wood. It's healthy for the forest to thin out the forest so that other growth can come in. And so then they would go back and they would literally plant seedlings. They would plant new growth where they would take the old growth down so that new growth could come in and fill in. And that's how they do it. And they go to different sections so that they don't, end up basically cutting down all the trees. Now, there's a story. There's a story about Easter Island. And Easter Island used to be a paradise. And it had, and I'm not sure on the amount of trees. I think it had like 60,000 or 90,000 trees on that island. Now, if you look at the island now, there's just green moss growing on it. There's no bushes or anything, and no trees. And at one time, the native humans came across that island, and to them it was paradise, so they set up home there. And this is a, and you look this story up, and this is a small version of what Earth could end up happening to Earth if humanity doesn't become very aware of what's going on as a whole. And so, anyway, Easter Island and the natives that ended up living there, because there were plenty of fish all the way around the island, there were plenty of animals, there were plenty of trees, and it was just an absolute beautiful island. And so they lived there for a long time, many years.
Jared, there's 450 miles of denuded coastline the timber industry did not replant. And that's what David has devoted his life to. He clones the redwoods, and he just planted 10,000 trees, which is why I asked you about the field generator, because that could increase the rate of maturity for the saplings to help him reforest what the timber industry did not replant. He's planting from Big Sur all the way up to Canada.
Yeah, I
450 miles.
Is that they're, unfortunately, because of some of these large corporations, they deviated from their plan in certain areas, and they didn't follow that process like they used to. But I was trying to give you a perspective or a picture of how they would do it healthy-wise in the forest. So, but see, if on Easter Island, what happened was that, to make a long story short, they kept cutting the trees and making canoes. So they had to make, their huts and their homes and stuff, and they made it out of the woods. So the trees would throw off seeds, and then the seeds, root and grow, turn into trees. But what happened was that they didn't think to check that the rats were eating all the seeds. So they had brought rats onto the ocean. So the rats ate all the seeds, and the trees, they kept cutting the trees down, and they kept building canoes and everything. Eventually, all the trees were gone, and then they couldn't build any more canoes, and they couldn't get off the island. And so there were plenty of birds, thousands of birds, and everything. So what they did is that they ate anything they could to stay alive. They fished out the whole area around the island, so there are no more fish. They ate all of the animals. They ate all the birds that were around, and they couldn't, and then they started eating each other. And eventually they all perished. It was it. It was over. And consuming and not being aware and clear on your surroundings and to take care of the surroundings and respect the surroundings. Only take what you need and replenish and replace what you take. So, it's an old adage. There are really good people that are working really hard to try to stave off the destruction of the environment, which sustains us. And, I'm aware of the Redwoods, and, we will do a meditation on all the trees on the planet.
God, thank you. Before I get off, I have a question. Aren't the galactics fixing the oceans? Aren't the galactics working on cleaning up the oceans? I thought they were.
There are some applications in the technical sense that they are helping with that. They are assisting. But see, humanity's got to take responsibility for things and can't keep expecting, everybody, someone else to come in and do all the work for them and, boom, snap your fingers, it's all done, because there's a lot of learning to go into for humanity to say, we got to clean up our mess. We got to clean up things that have been done. And but there are certain things that, applications from benevolent ETs that are helping with things on the planet. They're helping down here.
We're taking down the deep state, so once they take down the deep state, won't the people like General Dunford and all the alliance, the good people, help with the benevolence that want to bring in the good industries and stop the guys that are destroying it? The ones that don't care?
Yes. So, there's a lot of things happening on this planet. Okay, and some are really, really bad, and some are really, really good, and some are in between. So there's a lot of things that are going on that humanity isn't even aware of. And I've always said this: there's two choices with any situation. You can embrace the situation where the planet's going to be blown up and we're all going to perish and everything's going to be gone. There's some people that believe that. They actually embrace it and believe it. That's their prerogative. Now, the other attitude and belief is that we're going to flourish and expand and grow and have a wonderful existence in life and experience with freedom and no more wars and no more conflicts and no more pollution and no more disrespecting. And that's the direction that I've embraced. That's how I feel. And I believe believing is seeing. That's my attitude, and that's my belief.
Well, thank you, and all of us listen to you. We pay attention to what you have to say, okay?
All right.
So we send love and light to you, Jared. I'll get off.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Jared, I have a question. I'm here in Canada on the West Coast. I'm told by an Aboriginal lady that there's 3 islands that are actually, they're taking the people off them right now because they are being washed over with water. I don't know the correct term. And I know that you've discussed this, that there will be, and pretty much, I guess, an instant case of it's just like, if you don't get out 100 miles at least into the interior, you're looking at trouble. I just wondered if you had an update, and I do have a second question. So,
well, there's a lot of speculation on the number one. Our sun's expanding. Okay, and they cover it up. NASA covers up a lot of things. Again, from everybody, and so people just you don't know what's going on because they cover it up, they brush it out. But our sun is expanding, and we have a lot of changes on not only Earth but Uranus and Saturn, Jupiter. A lot of the planets in our solar system are being affected as well as Earth, and the oceans, which has happened before. It's not new. It's not something new. But we've had the oceans overflow before, and it's just like when you fill something up, or you put a big chunk of ice in a bucket of water and it melts. The water's going to go up. It's going to increase as that chunk of ice melts. And we've had a lot of major ice shelves break off, pieces of the ice shelves in Antarctica, where they've fallen, gone off into the ocean. And, we've got increased temperatures in different parts of the planet. Look at this summer here in North America, and it's not only here, but it's
brutal here.
The world. Brutal heat that is happening, and not a lot of moisture.
And no end in sight, they say.
Like we've got a massive, unusual, and you're going to hear about it, but it's a massive sandstorm that is coming from Africa and literally following the path that a hurricane would follow. And it's going to literally fill the entire Gulf of Mexico just about. Literally going to fill it. This is a sandstorm going over water, over the ocean, all the way from Africa up into the Gulf of Mexico.
So what would happen to
that. And not only that, it's going to go into it'll go into Texas too.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of changes. Some of the weather on the planet's manipulated. Some of it's being purposely done. Okay, and the other parts of it are just taking place due to planetary pulling and ebb and tide. It's pulling and stretching. Okay, you saw Hawaii. You've seen different parts of the planet and different sections. You've got the tectonic plates. Whenever we have a shift on the planet, whenever we have like the scenario goes like this: the sun gives the Earth its magnetosphere. It charges it up. Then what happens is that over a period of time, as the sun ejects and ejects and ejects, solar flares, and it shoots it towards Earth, it slowly breaks down our magnetosphere, which is our force field, our protection. And eventually what happens is that magnetosphere becomes weak and weak and weak, and then it collapses. Then the sun regenerates it, and Earth will wobble a little bit, and the oceans will slosh around, and the shorelines, different. And it's happened through, many times. So it'll slosh around, and it'll flood certain coastal areas in different parts of the world, and then eventually things will settle down, and we'll have new shorelines, basically. And I've used this, for instance, in California. If you look on the coast of California, you can research this. They can look it up. They found, scientists researching the coastal area of California, they found 200 miles out, 2 former coastlines of California. 2 former coastlines. So, see, we're in a time as humanity on this planet where we've never really had a planetary catastrophe. We've never had that. We've never experienced it. None of us that I know of on this call. That I sense that, I don't think anybody's experienced that unless you're older than Methuselah. So,
can I ask another part of this? I just spoke to somebody yesterday on Georgian Bay in Ontario, which is, I think, part of Lake Huron, and they said the water has never been that high, and that's a Great Lake. not an ocean. And not that long ago, it was so out because, far out. The beach just went forever because they were shipping that water down to Vegas or somewhere. Now it's, people that have been there 70 years have never seen it this high. Is there a tie-in between the ocean and the Great Lakes?
Well, if you knew that underneath the surface of this planet, there's more water under the surface of the planet than there is on the under the surface of the planet than there is on the top of the planet. Okay, vast oceans, underground oceans, and oftentimes you'll see where people will see where whole lakes. There's been accounting in history where whole lakes have drained, water's gone. People get up the next day and it's all gone. No one knows where it went. And other times where water will appear. And some of these lakes that are spring-fed by underground waterways will get a surge where they will begin to grow in size and depth from that water. It just depends. Like the Great Lakes were created by the retreat of the last ice age, so that the ice carved out the Great Lakes as it receded and created the Great Lakes from former glaciers. So if you look at the planet and you look at the sloshing around, you should be cognizant of the fact that the coastal areas of the globe of Earth could see major flooding. Okay, and how far? No one knows. No one really knows. You could guess at it, and a lot of experts have guessed on what they think could take place, but no one really knows. So you've got people that through the years, clairvoyants and psychics and numerologists and astrologists have mapped certain applications to know predictors to determine. Edgar Cayce predicted a lot of Earth changes. Nostradamus predicted a lot of Earth changes at this time. And so you really have to kind of measure in your own heart and mind, should I stay on the coast or shouldn't I? It's up to the people.
I was looking, in tying in with that, I was looking at going up into what they actually call lake country, which is between Vernon and Kelowna in British Columbia, called the Interior. Beautiful lakes, absolutely gorgeous, fresh, crystal clear lakes. Well, now I'm thinking maybe I should head for a desert. I don't know where to head for. All I know is I'm getting ready. I don't know what I'm getting ready for, but I have a sense that it's time to get off this. I'm on Vancouver Island, which is the biggest island, and it's the closest one to Vancouver, but is obviously not the place to stay. It's already starting north of here. And, if I go to lake country and it's the same deal there, like same as Georgian Bay, that's not going to really solve the problem. Would you recommend going into the prairies or the desert, or what would you think would be appropriate?
Well, I would think that, you have to just determine on your own what you feel is the right thing to do. I'm not going to tell people.
No, I'm not trying to put you in a corner, but it looks like lakes or oceans aren't really a good bet.
Well, lakes are different because they're inland. Most lakes are inland. They're not, they're not near the ocean. They're inland. They're fresh water.
Yeah, 100 miles in at least.
Yeah, so their water source is different than the ocean. Seawater salt. And you've got the lake water is fresh water. So that's those are fed usually by underground springs.
So to live there on a hill would be all right.
Yeah, if you go to higher ground and you go away from the coastline, most cases people are going to be safe. If you stay on the coastline, then you're gambling. You don't know.
Yeah.
You could be unharmed or you could be flooded.
That's right.
Period.
Oh, okay, I don't want to hog the call, but I had one more fast question.
Yeah.
Relative to today's meditation, which was excellent regarding respect and forgiveness, I am trying to work through something, and I don't know if there's a tie-in to the respect, but I'd just like your viewpoint on something. And also, maybe I'm from Canada where everybody's so darn polite and say sorry for everything. It's just a whole different ballgame than in, I think, U.S. We're like all these polite freaks. I don't know why, but we are. Anyway, the long and short of it is, I would like to know, I've had various situations where people hang up on me. Now, maybe I brought it on. Maybe I didn't. I don't know if that's more prevalent with males or females, or if it's a country thing where they do it all the time in a certain country, but they just don't do it in another country because it's not polite. Can you just give me your viewpoint on that, please?
Well, I think that it just depends on what a human being feels and how they feel about themselves is important, and it's the root of how we act towards others. If we are not loving ourselves, if we are not respectful of ourselves, and we are not forgiving of ourselves,
can somebody mute out of static?
We are not going to be effective on good relations with others. Period. So
you're referring to the hanger-up or not the hanger-uppy? Is that correct?
Yeah, we have to be. We should be. I should say we should be cognizant to the fact that it all starts with each and every one of us. So it's internal with us. It's about us. And it's about how we treat ourselves. It's about how we view ourselves. It's about how we feel about ourselves. It's about our fears. It's about our worries. It's about our stresses. It's about what our outlook is. It's like if you get up in the morning and you're happy that you made another day, that you're being greeted to another day, no matter what your problems are, no matter what your burdens or responsibilities are, but you're just literally deep inside happy to wake up the next day, the next morning, that you're grateful that you have that next day, that next morning, and that we take so many things for granted as humanity. We do. We take a lot of things for granted. We take being able to eat with teeth for granted. I talk with people who've lost most of their teeth and they can't eat. They have to eat soft foods, and they just love to be able to eat solid foods. You start to realize that everything that we experience is a gift. It really is. We are given gifts every day, but we take them for granted. We overlook. We don't value in a lot of things deeply, and most of them are simple things. They're being able to live each day, being alive, being able to walk, being able to have 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 hands, 2 feet, having the ability to live and breathe and exist. And we are so caught up in the material world. We are so drawn to materialism and capitalism and wanting and having and owning and possessing that we forget who we are. We lose ourselves. We have the ego to deal with. It's a constant battle with our egos. We are in a tug of war all the time. We become angry with ourselves. We become disenchanted with ourselves. We feel undeserving. There's so many things that happen to us that is implanted that expands and grows. And we just don't look at the simple things in our life, in our existence. And we all know that it's fleeting. It's so short. I mean, it really is. 80 years isn't a long time to live. It really isn't. And yet we're trained as a human civilization. That's a long time. That's a long time. And it isn't. We should be saying we should be living to be 150 and healthy.
Well, they programmed us with that 10. So now after 70, you're like, oh boy, I'm on borrowed time. Is that not what they want us to think?
That's exactly right. If they can convince it, listen, if the forces that we are dealing with right now, this very day, if they can continually convince the majority of humanity on certain subjects, then they win. They win. Because then the rest of humanity follows. And so what they create with their media, their controlled media and all of the stuff, the newspapers, the magazines, the television, all of it, it's their construct. that entertains us and diverts our attention and basically brainwashes us into living a certain way. You know? TV was invented as an advertising tool. That was the reason it was invented. Television in this country was invented back in the 50s. We actually had rear projection televisions, black and white, that scientists in America invented. And after the war, we gave that technology to the Japanese. And you can research that and you'll find that. But that technology was given to the Japanese, rear projection television, black and white, the big screens, yeah. So, but what we've done is we've followed a line of control and manipulation for so very long that we don't know reality. We don't know what's outside the box. And then you see some humans that jump outside the box and start seeing the truth and reality. They're the ones that are chastised, ridiculed, cut down, attacked, banged and, taken out, constantly. And so,
okay.
It's a subject that I'm very passionate about.
It's just been wonderful, and I'm sorry, I just have one fast point. It's like we're programmed even as a kid. If you grew up on Heinz ketchup, this is just crazy, and you had it all the time, and on that table it was Heinz ketchup, I bet you don't go shopping and buy another brand because that's what you're
conditioned. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. You've been wonderful.
You.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Hello, Jared. This is Mark from New Hampshire. Namaste.
Hey, Mark. Namaste.
Yeah. One thing I was thinking is I love your meditations. You do a great job with them, and we really love and appreciate your leadership, your guidance, and the love that you have for all of us and all of humanity. How can we use the meditations? A lot of people might not go to 3 o'clock, but they might come to tonight's discussion that you're having, which is beautiful as always. But to use our collective intention and our consciousness to fully awaken the rest of collective humanity to really work together through our consciousness to heal the oceans, to heal the land, and so forth through our conscious intention in a more direct and focused way, because a lot of people don't really understand how that really works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes, I do. And it's basically expanding. We keep growing, and more of humanity participates on a daily basis of meditation collectively together. Now, I know there's groups that I've talked with that, because of time constraints in different situations, they actually come to this line and they all meditate like at 8 at night. The ones that can't make the 3 o'clock, and others will just play the replay on the meditations and meditate that way with other groups. There's groups, because of the time differences in different parts of the planet, they can't make the 3 p.m. Eastern call, so they group together and they all meditate together at different times with the replay. So they do the replay call. And that helps get it out there, get it to more people, get it circulating. There's people who have gotten groups together of a few thousand here and a few thousand there, and they all come together and they listen to the meditation call at 3, and then they all meditate. So that we have people that bring groups in. They have a speaker set up, and they all sit there and do it together collectively. So we have people getting very creative on different ways to work together and participate in the meditation as best they can. And our whole purpose is for humanity to get in the habit of meditating every day. Very simple, not complicated like we do, and to get them into the habit. Once we get to the habit, once people get in the habit and they understand that it's effective and it's very impactful for us to do this every day, and that's why we keep expanding and growing. And what happens is that it affects the planet. It affects the human race. It cannot not affect the human race. Okay. So we, there's things that we have meditated on that people have written in and have told me that, this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened, or I saw this take place, or this person happened, who is a total grump happens to be very friendly all of a sudden. And, things are, we affect change by meditating. And eventually when humanity gets to the point where they all know the importance of meditation, it's separation from the physical and all the attachments and control mechanisms in this physical world that the dark agenda has put upon humanity, that we are coming out of. So the meditations are to heal, to expand, to love, to put more love out there, more caring for humanity. We've done meditations on the healing of humanity in the civilization. All the people that are suffering financially, we've done meditations with that. I think, we've been meditating every day without stopping since February 12th, 7 days a week, every single day at 3 p.m. And we're going to continue to do this so it expands and it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows until we reach as much of humanity as God allows us to reach. And that's what we're doing, and it's effective. So to get more and more people, that's what's happening. And like I said, a lot of people are getting creative. If they can't make the 3 p.m., they'll come in. There's people that come in at 8 o'clock on this call, and they'll do the meditation. There's no moderator or anything. They just come on and they do the meditation.
Right.
So, that's, and there's other people that have websites and vlogs that are starting to get it out there so that people can go. They advertise it. It's on different sites. So it's going up on different places on a consistent basis, and it's spreading. So I encourage people to put it up there, put the call numbers up there, and let people know it's not this complicated guru, intense type of learning process for the meditation. It's very simple. So therefore, people can participate, and it's guided, and it helps. And it's not.
It does.
It's not long. It's not a long, drawn-out session. It's very simple. It's very light. It's very loving, and we take care of that, and it's expanding. So, a lot of creative people are doing a lot of creative things.
Right. And the other thing is, you saw the emails that I sent you regarding the med beds and the technologies and who I want us to work with and why. So, and a lot of people.
The med beds that I have access to, that I will be helping with. Those med beds are not, that technology is not from Earth. It doesn't come from Earth. And that we wait for notification for us to have physical access, not just access to the plans and everything, but physical access to those beds. We have not been notified to have physical access to those beds. We've also learned that eventually the replicators will be able to replicate the bed. So we won't have to go into a huge manufacturing process.
Jared, what time is that 3 o'clock? You mentioned 3 o'clock. Is that Eastern time?
Yeah, it's 3 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. This is F. Daniel. I want to thank you for responding to my email on the ghost cities and hoping to hear from you. You said you're going to give me a call either maybe tomorrow or Monday and to discuss some other matters with you as well as that and plus any questions that you may have. Okay?
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jared, this is Beverly in Florida.
Hi, Beverly.
Yes, the 3 o'clock is linear, three-dimensional time, right? So wouldn't it be almost immaterial what time people were meditating if the intent was there?
Yeah, now see, this is where a lot of groups have broken down, because what happens is that they split apart, and you've got some people over here meditating at this time, and you've got people over here meditating at this time, and it splinters, and that's why it's not as impactful. The reason we started these meditations at 3 p.m. Eastern is to get as many people participating at that time, is because collectively it's much more impactful when you're connected to others, when you're actually participating with others. That's not to say that one person meditating isn't effective, because I said that one person can affect up to 1 million humans. So, but the fact is that if you'll notice on this planet, okay, through all the years of people being aware of meditation, how big of a difference have we made because we've been so splintered? We've been so segregated and not come together. Now, once in a great while, you have a massive gathering for a day meditation, you know, a massive gathering, like the Million Children gathering that took place a while back. You have these, 1,000 here, 1,000 there, different meditations on the planet. But the fact of the matter is that it's not enough. That's the point. And a lot of people that I talked with, so I talked to a lot of people before we started these meditations, people that had been meditating for 50, 60 years, meditative gurus. And they all said the same thing. They said that collectively the strength is much more impactful. And that's always been a challenge for humanity, to come together and to get into the habit of doing a simple meditation for the betterment of all, and unselfishly to do so. And that's why we started this, is to do this and to expand it. Sure, there's people that meditate all over the planet, and there's groups in India and different parts of the world that meditate, but not to a huge number every day. Okay, those are the followers of different, Hinduism and different religion-driven guidance, and so we don't have a major, massive amount of people from America that are every day at a specified time doing simple meditation collectively together. It's powerful. It's much more impactful. It'll have much more of a frequency shift on the planet than one person meditating in a quiet place in their home. So, and it fragments. What happens is that people split off and they go off here and they go off there, and then you've got a bunch of little groups meditating at different times because their lives take them in different directions. They can't make the time they set. And I've been through that. I've been in group meditations that the dream was great, but it was never fulfilled because things would happen and people, I can't make it and I can't do it, and it went on and on and on, and eventually it just died out, and it didn't stay there. It takes good commitment from people to say, I'm going to be there. And I have people send emails to me every week that say, I've made every one of them. I've made every one of the meditations. And I've had other people say, I missed one, so I just listen to the playback and meditate with the playback. And then we have another group that comes at 8 every night and will do the playback and meditate together, coming together. And that's getting people used to the idea of coming together, interacting with each other on a higher plane, with your higher self, your God spark, and working together, knowing that there's a lot of people on that line all together with you meditating is very empowering, and it's very uplifting, and it's very enlightening. If you get on a call and there's another person and you, or just a handful of people, it's not as impactful. It's not as empowering. But any meditation at all is good. Any meditation, anywhere on the planet is. And don't get me wrong, I'm a full advocate of meditation anywhere on the planet for all of humanity. So if people, I say to people, if you can't make it, then you listen to the playback. If you can't make the call. But we have new people coming every day and expanding every day and growing every day. We've got people from, 30, 40, 50 different countries that come to the call. And we've got people that bring people, actually trunk them in. So in other words, they use their line, and then we have a huge group that are listening off of their line. So, different applications, different ways. We got people that come on the internet and listen that way. We have just different approaches, different ideas. And like I said, we keep expanding. Blogs are going up. It's being circulated, and more people are seeing it, and more people are coming. And that's how it grows.
Then maybe we should have more specific intentions, like directing our meditation toward the boys in the cave in Thailand.
Well, we did that.
Yes. Yes. I mean, more specific goals for our meditation that would.
Yeah, I have people send emails to me that make suggestions that want to address certain things on the planet. And there have been several times where I've directed, the meditation towards that situation. I mean, we did a meditation on the volcano in Hawaii.
Yes.
So we do directed meditations for different situations on the planet. The greater good for all. The meditation is meant for the betterment of all of humanity, for the goodness and the love and the care for humanity. So the meditations are meant to be very unselfish, to help and assist, as we all together are here to help each other and assist each other, and support each other and love each other. And that's the framework. And to see humanity gravitating towards that direction is a very, very phenomenal thing to experience. And that's our goal. That's our direction. That's, with the help of heaven and the archangels and all of the benevolence of existence of other civilizations that are assisting in their ways is magnificent. It's phenomenal. And eventually we'll be able to meet different civilizations, interact, learn, grow, expand.
And include the people in inner earth and hollow earth.
Inner earth, hollow earth, all of the civilizations existing on and in this planet.
Yes.
All of them.
It's really exciting.
Yes, it is. It is. It's. I can't think of a better servitude, to be in servitude to humanity and to the planet. So, next question.
Jared.
Yes.
Yeah. Could you give us an update on where you think we are with the RV process and correlating that with the quantum financial system? There's a lot of stuff out there about the system, actually doing a lot of AI intuitive stuff, and I was just wondering what your feedback was.
I'll address I don't go into the RV, but I'll address the system, the organic system, the quantum system. And this is the simplest way I could put it. That system is designed by our Creator. And a lot of people some people have a hard time absorbing that and understanding that. It has been designed by God Creator. It is from heaven and God, that system. If we understand that we each have a God spark. Inside these bodies, we have our spirit, our soul, however you want to name it. But it is a direct contact with our Creator. Our spirits are in direct contact with our Creator. It is a phone line, I guess you could call it, a direct hotline to God Creator, to Prime Source Creator God. And unfortunately, humanity, for the most part, has not learned how to communicate directly with Prime Source Creator God through our higher self, through our God spark in these bodies. And so that's how this system can read all of us, period. It literally has a knowledge of all that we are and all that we'll ever be. So the transparency is just absolutely phenomenal. If you have to separate things, separate this old, corrupt, thieving, manipulative system. It's a facade. It's a charade. It's like a prison planet, and you got to keep, and it controls all of it. And it's been that way throughout history in different applications. In times of Babylonia, Mesopotamia, the system has always, that corrupt system in one way, shape, or form has always been there. The God system that is now in place controls all of it with transparency. So in other words, let's put it this way. In the old system, bankers could, high-up bankers could rip off the system, steal money, trade it day after day after day after day, and generate billions and billions and trillions of dollars. With this new organic, heavenly system, you can't do that. The corruption, manipulation is totally gone. They can't hack it. They can't destroy it. They can't manipulate it. They can't steal from it. They can't do anything.
Yay, suckers.
Period. So, that's the best explanation I can give of that system, of what it's about. And I'm going to tell you something else. Eventually, all of humanity will be well off. This isn't about a handful of people. This is about, and understand something else. And this is my personal opinion. Okay, so it's not something that I picked up somewhere or read or was told, but I believe that the whole humanity, the whole civilization, is the monies being held, the wealth being held, being overlooked upon on this planet, is humanity's wealth. Period.
Yeah.
It's each and every one of yours wealth. It's from ancestral, beyond, thousands and thousands and thousands of years accumulated by humanity, by the civilizations of humanity that have brought this wealth, have mined it, have stored it, have collected it off of the sweat and the labor of humanity. This money, this wealth, is the human race's money. It's the human race's wealth. It's not just one collective group of people's wealth. It is all of our wealth. And that wealth will be distributed amongst humanity, amongst human race. And I've said this before, and this is just shy, just about a guarantee. The financial structure, all of it, will be completely gone in the future. And I'm not talking in 2 years or 3 years or something like that. But in the future, humanity won't be using money, won't be using finances, won't be using digital stuff, won't be using any of that. Won't be banks, won't be that. It'll all be gone. All of it will be gone. Now, you imagine that all of us are going to be well taken care of. All of us are going to be healthy. And this isn't some dream or wish. It's a reality. And like I say, believing is seeing. It's part of the constructs, part of the change, the shift, this consciousness of humanity, the shift of humanity, the belief mechanism that we're breaking out of. Anything is possible. Anything. There's nothing that is impossible. The only way you're going to find out what's impossible is if you go to the impossible. If you go and you do anything that's possible and keep doing it and don't look at it as being impossible, it's the only way you're going to find what is impossible. And you'll find that nothing is. We can accomplish anything we desire. And we've spent so much time outside of ourselves, it's time to be inside of ourselves, to look inside of ourselves, no matter where we came from, no matter what our true roots are. All right? No matter where our God sparks came from, no matter where they've been, no matter what we've experienced, we're all here together. and we're working for the betterment of all of us together collectively. Because, more minds, the more hearts and minds together, working together collectively in love and in harmony and peace and prosperity and respect and forgiveness, we can accomplish massive things, all of us. And the feeling of creating and accomplishing is off the charts for humanity. Instead of being at each other, instead of being aggressive towards each other, instead of being angry with each other, we shift that away from that. We take that energy. We basically iron ourselves out and become calm and become more loving and caring and concerned for each other and helping for each other and living on this planet in harmony and joy. It can be done. It can be done. Now, the opposing thought process is that they don't want that to be done, but we're still doing it, and we're still progressing towards it. Next question.
Hey, Jared, how you doing?
Good.
Jared?
Jared, I was wondering, can you give me clarification on when I do my affirmation daily, sometimes I could be going real good, then all of a sudden I lose my train of thought, then it comes back to me, then during the day I can get easy. And just very, very negative stuff. So what is that?
Wonderful.
Well, when you have, we all get random thoughts. I mean, they just come in. I mean, some of them are just crazy. Every one of us, we get distracted. We're just sitting there minding our own business, and these thoughts just come banging in. And some of them are so far out there, it's unreal. Where did that come from? Why do I have this thought? And so when you're distracted or you're trying to do a meditation or concentrate, be quiet, and you get distracted and you lose your train of thought and everything, it's because you have so many, your mind is going so fast, and you've got so many things that you're filtering that are coming in. And some of those thoughts are coming from other people. They're coming in from other people. Other things are coming in constantly. We all get it. We all get barraged at certain times. So when that happens, you just sit calmly, and you just kind of let them pass through and take a look at any of them that might be of interest, as you're sitting there. You say, why would I have that thought, and just kind of address them, and then just kind of clear it, let them just passively go through and separate yourself from them, and you'll find that you'll quiet down and you'll get more focused. Okay. A lot of people will fight that. They'll fight that. They'll try to say, get out. I don't want to deal with that. Where'd that thought come from? And so they try to push it and shove it and get confrontation with the thought. Instead of that, a lot of times it helps is just to look at the thought and say, okay, so why would that come in? What, I don't know why it came in. It's gone. A lot of times when you face those thoughts and you briefly take a look at them, they dissipate and they're gone. It's just like poof, out of the way. So that might help you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jared, somebody needs to mute.
Next
I don't
question.
know. The man said wonderful a while ago, but there's a couple and they're chit-chatting, and it's distracting. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, people, anybody that can star 6 to mute your background noise out, because that helps a lot. Because the noise is
why would
banging and making noise.
Dude. Seriously, folks, just immediately star 6 when you call it.
Jared?
Nobody wants to hear it.
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I can hear you.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Listen, I wanted to ask you a question. Brazil is being very bad on politics and corruption and everything. Can you tell me anything about what's going to happen over there? I would appreciate that.
Where?
Brazil.
Over where?
Brazil?
Oh, Brazil. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What you're seeing are, there's two different truths. What we see, what we're told, and what's really going on. There's governments obviously in each country. Many of those governments are corrupted. They don't have the people's best interest at heart. So those governments are dissipating, so to speak. They're being disbanded and being replaced with people who care about people, period. And so Brazil basically is going through a transition, part of South America. It's going through a transition, and the transition is from a suppressive control to a people control. And, you're not going to see Brazil crash and burn and be destroyed and, chaos and total wrecking and everything. Brazil is going to expand. The people are going to come and rise, and the government's going to change to a people-oriented government where they work together and work in harmony. So a lot of these countries that, you're being told that has a lot of turmoil, what you're seeing is you're seeing humanity wake up. You're seeing that we don't want this anymore. Humanity is saying we don't care to have this anymore. We don't care to have a corrupt government. We don't care to have this suppressive control, manipulation, lack of freedom, lack of rights. If you look at the United States corporation, they have spent so long. We've got 80 million statutes or regulations in this country. It's absolutely astronomical. And most people haven't a clue what most of them are anyway. And they break the law and they don't even know it because, these people have, deemed it to be wrong to do this. And it's crazy. So collectively, the human race is coming together in different parts of the world. And they're basically stepping up and saying, we're going to start waking up and we're going to start doing and helping together. And we want a free government that helps the people, period. Serve the government. A government is created to serve the people.
Right.
That's a basic understanding. A government is created by the people for the people. To serve the people, and a government should be kept small enough so it's manageable. If a government gets too big, like ours has gotten, it becomes unmanageable. It's not. You cannot manage it. It's just so far out of control, and that's when corruption sets in. That's when manipulation sets in. That's when ulterior motives come in. That's when all that comes in. And I always say to people, imagine for a minute if all of a sudden there was no one needed money. All the money was gone, and we were all taken care of. Imagine what would happen. Imagine, just think about all the things that would change.
Yeah.
Okay? Imagine no one had to worry about health care. No one had to worry about well-being because they would be taken care of. Okay? Think about that kind of planet, And when you start thinking about something and feeling about something, you start creating it, period. All right? The universe is an abundant place. So there's nothing lacking. So if you figure it out, we've got a way to create from ourselves what we desire. So you imagine a planet that's pollution-free, that no one's starving, that everybody has a place to live, clean clothes, food, healthy water, healthy soil, healthy clean air, and you all of those stresses and anxieties and fears that are placed on humanity are gone. Imagine that. Then people say, well, no one would want to do anything. That's crazy. People, I think, would do more. They would do more and helping each other and collectively creating, expanding, inventing, growing together. I mean, it's just magnificent. It's just a phenomenal thing to think about. Instead of us concentrating on all of this other stuff that we've done forever. You know, it's like people flock when there's disaster and there's bad news or there's an accident or something, and there never seems to be any good news flowing around. There never seems to be any impactful good news flowing around and getting into people and being absorbed, and then the happiness and the joy and creating that for humanity, all of us together, working together, creating it, and that's, you know, that's the key for us to create what we see, what we desire for everyone, the happiness, the joy, and we have that ability as a human race, as a civilization. We definitely have it.
Yes, sir.
I thank you so much. And you have a great night. Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Bye, dear.
Aloha. Can you reset the line, please? Because it's just so irritating to have a whole family conversation overtake your call. I'm sorry to be so forceful, but...
No, that's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we want to make sure that anybody that it isn't on *6 themselves and mute themselves out with background noise, dogs barking, you know, pots and pans slamming or anything else is helpful because it just helps the person ask the questions so we can hear, and that really is helpful.
Don't yell at Jared either. That's like annoying as hell. You're like, Jared! Jared!
Aloha, Jared. Can you hear me?
And I want it answered right now.
I'm calling from the island of Hawaii, and I've been involved since February 12th. And I just love being there, and I know I'm raising my vibration.
Absolutely.
And on one call, you were asked by someone who believed that you were an archangel, and you shared who you really were. And I would love to know that.
Well, I shared that, and I think people got it confused because maybe it was how I pronounced it, but they thought it was Shamuel, and it wasn't. It was Shamshiel.
And would you spell that, please?
Yeah, there's different spellings of it, but I spell it SHAMSHIEL.
SHIEL.
Yeah, S is
May I
in
repeat
Sam.
it, please?
Yeah, Sham.
Oh my God. She's old though. I've never.
SHIEL.
Yes.
I've got it. Fantastic.
And you'll find it mentioned in the Book of Enoch.
Okay.
Wow.
And the Book of Enoch will tell you, Shamshiel's directive, responsibility. Shamshiel is the 16th watcher, okay, of the 200 fallen angels.
I'm writing it all down.
That is Anunnaki, though. That sounds Anunnaki-ish. Not real thrilled about it.
I am just so grateful that you are where you are right now.
My grandma would have been, she would have loved
everything that you're doing for the world.
Well, you're very welcome. There's somebody yelling and screaming in the background. We really would appreciate it if you would mute yourself out. Because we can hear your conversation, the television, and all of your communications going on there. So if you could *6 yourself, it would be greatly appreciated.
May I ask you a question about the Malaysian plane that was lost in 2014? And when discovery comes, are they going to walk off and come back?
That there was so much noise in the background, I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry. The Malaysian plane that disappeared in 2014. There was all the sharing about the fact that it would come back, that the people would come off the plane. The
plane was the people on the plane were taken off the plane, and the people are in inner Earth.
In Hollow Earth?
Inner Earth. There's inner Earth and there's Hollow Earth.
Okay.
Two different locations.
Yes.
And they were taken off because they were never found, and they're safe, and they're doing fine.
Yes.
Period. So.
Wow. That's good to hear. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yes. Thank you. Mahalo nui loa. Thank you for everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel very blessed to be able
God bless
to be on
God
this
bless
call.
you.
God bless you.
Hello, Jared. Aloha. Can you hear
Aloha.
me?
Yep, sure can.
Aloha. Thank you. This is Karen in California. And so also have been with you with the start of the meditation. And the shifts that we are seeing are just miraculous. Starting with chemtrails, everything that we've been doing, even Aloha, which is Hawaii. I know we're sensitive to that. And just even seeing the very next day, the pain stopped. But more so, can see a profound change and a profound shift. Been meditating since I was 14. And so what we're doing with your meditations is so wonderful and so special. And so I was wanting to ask you a question to say, by spreading this to people, maybe we could have a new way of greeting one another as far as, because we're so exclusive to the meditation. And so I'm just going to throw this out to you, and it's basically saying a new way, instead of shaking hands, it's just greet a person and ask them, can I say hello to you? And by putting my hand on your heart. And at the same time, just looking into their eyes and saying, I see you, with the greatest love. Just a way of expanding our meditation to those that we meet, because there is such a beautiful shift as far as going into the higher frequency with the meditation. And so I'm just honoring the meditation and saying, and then also,
I think that
something.
I think some people would be. I think some people would be receptive to that. I think some people would be receptive to that, and others, I don't know. It just depends. If you went up to somebody and you asked them.
It's like if you're meeting somebody and you would normally shake their hand, and being introduced to somebody, and just from a level of, I just want to greet you, and with your eyes, with love. And could I just put my hand on your heart? And I see you, and I feel you, and I honor you, and I respect you with that unconditional love. And I've done this for years. And so people are, like you were starting to say, almost afraid to interact with people. Sometimes all it takes is a smile or just a loving look, and just sharing the love that we are feeling from the meditation and the frequency. And also, we're going into 5D consciousness. And so getting people out of their stuck 3D and saying, there really is a better way. And so I am overfilled with love, with gratitude, with appreciation. Every day I wake up with a miracle, and I start out with, God yesterday was miraculous. I can't wait to see what I have for today. And so it's like you were saying earlier, it's the gratitude for what we already have, and just pure appreciation. And we have so much, and I didn't mean to get carried away. Sorry, Jared.
Yeah, lady, get done.
And so to change gears here.
I'm going to quit doing the calls if you guys don't act so stupid.
Okay. Could the lady in the background who's interrupting the lady right now please refrain from interrupting? Please mute yourself. I can hear your television. I can hear your comments. Please keep those comments to yourself. It would be greatly appreciated.
Jared, can you go off Q&A and then back on Q&A? Would that get them off the call? Because it's ruining the whole call.
Well, let me go ahead and I'll mute everything. We don't have much time left anyway.
Okay. I'm sorry about it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I've muted everybody because we have some people that just unfortunately don't want to listen. And it would be appreciated that anybody who is on, with the reason that we do an open forum is because of the fact that everybody respects everybody else and doesn't interrupt and make blatant comments and remarks out to people trying to communicate that have the floor and want to ask a question or want to share something. So I'll unmute again to see if you can listen. But there is a lady who is making blatant comments and yelling and statements that are not appropriate and very disrespectful to the other people on this call. And I would really appreciate it if you would refrain. And if you think those thoughts, keep them to yourself and *6 yourself out, period. So we'll try and unmute here. And I just want to make sure each of you have a *6 on your phone that you can go *6, which will it'll do one of two things. It'll either unmute you or mute you. So if we still hear sound, it means that you need to press *6 again because you either unmuted yourself and didn't know it when you push *6. So this way everybody can hear, everybody respects everybody, and it's mutually understood. Okay. Now we've got nice and good quiet, and we've got everybody respecting everybody, hopefully. And I've got a couple more questions here, and we'll close out. So the next person has a question.
Hi, Jared. This is Mark.
Hi, Mark.
How you doing? Yeah, I'm an engineer going to do some ZPE hopefully on my project, and want to ask you a question as far as we're going to have meetings about that, and of course we're going to have a open source type designs, and how quickly we can get this started after the RV.
Oh, I think that you're gonna see different technologies coming out. There's people holding criminy. There are individuals that are holding massive amounts of inventions. Layouts, descriptions, blueprints, diagrams, waiting to get those out to the appropriate people. And I wish they would, find the people and get them out, or find someone who can get them to people, because with those technologies, you got to remember that you don't have a clear playing field yet. So holding technologies is one thing, but producing them is another, because you've got a lot of interference that comes about. Different parts of the country, different states, cities, villages, townships, and so you got to be careful on how you go about the technology that you have on manufacturing it, getting it out there, and getting it open sourced so that others can start, building it and developing it. So it's kind of it's right now. It's careful. It's careful, taking things carefully when the difference. So I would say that when people are financially healed, that was what I'll say. I think the technologies will come out and very quickly, and I think they won't stop. It'll be like a waterfall of different technologies popping up everywhere, people hearing about this, hearing about that. And I think there'll be a lot of busy people, a lot of job creation, and a lot of people. I think we're going to have a job shortage, or a people shortage for jobs in this country in the near future. I think we're not going to have enough people. I think that's going to become a common thing, where we have to get people back to vocational skilled trades. We have to get people back to learning these different applications that they've kind of gone away from, because we don't produce the engineers that we once did. We don't produce the R&D scientists that we once did as a country. We're way down on the totem pole. You can look it up, and you can find us probably near down towards the 100 mark out of all the countries and on what level, how many we graduate. And it's amazing that we've fallen behind so far. We're not the country that everybody thinks that we are, that thinks we are, where we were once at one time. Hence, making America great, which, by the way, is a slogan that was used back in the 40s, by the way. It was written on the tank.
What I was trying to ask is exactly that, you have everybody cordoned off. I wrote you wrote me back, and you put me on the list for ZPE, okay?
Yeah.
And so you stated before you'll be in contact with these different people, that's on your list. And like I said, how soon are we going to do that? And will we come out to you or you come out to us? I mean, I don't mind coming out to you, and it wouldn't take that long for this type of device, to get really started.
What we'll do is that we'll contact each person who has made a commitment, each group, and wants to get started. And once we have a go and we've got logistics in place, then we will come out and meet and sit down and go over the game plan and the process and guidelines and structure, employee base, HR base, processing, QA and QC, research and development, the structure of the facility. Mostly, I believe in inline manufacturing, which is in the front and out the back.
Sure, no problem.
I think that, I don't know, I think that works the best when you have several lines manufacturing and you go in the front and out the back. So we've got a remediation. We're gonna open source everything. It's
sure.
Going to be like, you guys, let's put this one in here. Let's put this on this line, this on this line, so that you become multifaceted and you're manufacturing, different technologies in the same facility. Let's put it that way. That way we can get more volume. We can get more out the door to the human race and more in the hands of humanity. So that basically we can make things much better. So that's what we would do. We would come out, sit down, over everything, and dot the I's and cross the T's so everybody's on the same page. And then we would also, share the different technologies. You may have some, but then we would come out and say, what would you like to do this? Would you like to do this? Here's the layout for this piece of technology. Here's the layout for this piece of technology. Would you like to manufacture some of the anti-gravitic scooters?
Sure. Sure.
Would you, and here's the blueprints. Here's the diagnostics. Here's the materials. Here's the schematics. Everything's set up, all open source, and you can we bring the people together, the right engineering staff, so on and so forth. And that's part of the biggest thing is hiring the people and getting them in place, because this stuff. This stuff, it's not like everybody's done it. Everybody's manufactured it before. It's new. It's new technology. So it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting for a lot of the manufacturing engineers and a lot of the.
I need to fart again.
Process engineers and so on and so forth.
Yeah. I built a prototype on a ZPE, but what I'd like to have is possibly another. Manufacturer's design to see what they've done. You understand? Did you hear me, Jared?
Who's ever making noise back there? Could you *6 yourself? It sounds like we're in some kind of animal farm. So somebody just keeps making noise, and they just don't want to listen, and they don't want to respect everybody else on the line, so they just keep making noise, I guess.
Well, what I'm saying, there may be somebody that's more efficient on their ZPE than mine. You understand? I do have a design, Edwin Gray's design, and also out of Switzerland. I got the schematic for that. You understand?
Yeah, and what we would do is we would connect connect with other folks and trying to network with other groups around the planet that have similar technology. You can compare notes.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd love that.
Yeah, see, it's collectively, we want everybody working together. So we want to connect with as many other groups as possible that are working on, they've got inventions, they've got other technologies, they're starting to work with, they've got something similar that you've got that might have a better twist to it. You compare notes and combine and come up with a better product and a better technology. And that's what we're about. We're about expanding and growing and touching, different groups, different people around the planet that have different technologies that are waiting to get it out the door and get it manufactured. And probably, a lot of heads are better than one head. So I believe in people collectively getting together, masterminding. We get to the point of open sourcing. So everybody understands there's no hoarding or hiding. This is meant to go out to everybody. Whoever wants and has the capabilities of putting these out the door and getting them in humanity's hands.
I totally agree, yes. But like I say, you're probably pretty busy. Will you assign a certain person to be able to do certain things like this particular design or project, because you're spread pretty thin now?
Yeah, we'll have project field people.
Okay.
That if I can't make it, project field personnel will be sent out, and they'll go in and they'll meet with the different people, the different heads of the groups, and go over the design plan, the schematics, and everything, and discuss it so that we get the best possible device made.
Great. Looking forward to it very much. I really appreciate all you do spiritually, government-wise, and also technology-wise. So all three facets, you do great.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Good evening, Jared.
Hello.
Yeah, Jared, do we have any update on the Halo 5 internet?
Isn't that interesting? I don't have anything. I haven't heard a squeak out of it. I know that the new electric transfer system is getting ready to come out, and that basically will eliminate all cords, all plug-in cords in your house. You no longer will need cords. You will no longer plug in appliances. You will no longer plug in, TVs, blow dryers, all that stuff. None of that. You won't need to plug in lamps or anything. This is a unit that sits in the house. It's probably about the size of a pan, and you set it in the house, and it literally transfers power line to all of your needs within the house. Period.
Thank you, Jared, and I appreciate everything you're doing for us.
Thank you.
Farting.
Well, we happen to have a real clown on the line that just will not mute themselves out. They just want to disrupt and disrespect humanity and all. They're just going to keep making noise and having a good old time.
Jared, could you mute out the line and then those that want to talk *6 back in? That might help.
Well, we'll try that.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll do this one more. I'm not going to play this game. I've gone through this before through the years with somebody who just refuses to listen. I don't know if they're deaf or they're dumb, whatever it is, but it's just ridiculous. So I get it. I have a long fuse, but sometimes it just gets irritating for everybody that we've got one person that just continually wants to disrupt this call on purpose. So that's obviously the agenda on their part to do that. But so what I will do is I will unmute, and everybody *6 themselves out, and then I'll come back in, and everybody will be muted, and then you'll be able to *6 yourself in and ask a question. We've got a few minutes left, not much longer. I don't want to have this call go 3 hours. So, but that's what we'll do right now.
So
Hello, Jerry.
Yes.
Hey, while you was talking about those trees, I run into a guy the other day complaining because they're spraying trees and they grow 2 to 3 inches a year, and it's a white pine. And he says the state of Florida will not allow them to use that as building material.
Yeah. The corruption in different parts of this country are blatant, and they're really ingrained, and so they stop progression. So they don't want progression. They want destruction. And so, we have that there are tree species that can, literally grow several feet a year. I mean, some trees there are some trees that will grow 20 feet in a year. And we have these technologies that we want to put our hands on and use, but we're being blocked. And we'd like to end this gluttony, destruction of the environment, and, stopping people from accessing. It's like bamboo. Bamboo grows over 6 inches a day, every day. And why aren't we harvesting more of it? It's sustainable. It's just, it grows and grows and grows very quickly. It's very resilient. It's very strong. It could be used, bamboo can be used for cloth. It's just like hemp. It can be used for many different things. As you well know, flooring, wooden cupboards, countertops, furniture, clothing, bedding. And, this stuff is sustaining, and it's renewable, so it helps the environment, and it helps us, help heal the planet. And so, there's a lot of things that we get blocked on, and that's part of the reason why we're coming together and we're making a difference. So eventually we're not going to have this interruption, this intervening, this regulation and control and manipulation.
Jared, quick question.
Yeah.
What is the truth about Jesus of the New Testament? What's true about him and what's false that we've been taught over the years?
Well, there's a lot of, as you well know, there's been enough time. There's been over 2,000 years of scholars and so-called experts making comments about, Jesus, Yeshua, and talking about different things and what happened and what took place. And, people, you can research and research and research and read, but you try to find the real truth out of all of this. And the real, the biggest fear that the dark ones have, all right, they fear the word Yeshua. They fear it. All of them. Period. They fear it. And when you think about Jesus, carpenter, came from a family. He wasn't poor. He wasn't impoverished. His family was well off. There are signs that the truth, that depict that the one on the cross was not Jesus. That Jesus lived to be a much older man. He traveled to India. He traveled to the Middle East. He was in different places. There's also, you can read, which is, a lot of this stuff has been hidden and it's been shoved under the carpet and buried. And there was a illuminated cloak. There were only 3 of them that were given out by the quote-unquote overlords, the Anunnaki rulers. These cloaks would allow a person to transport and also become invisible. And now we've got someone else coming in and talking and in the background. I don't understand people. They push *6 and mute themselves out so that we don't have them interrupting the call.
So did Jesus die for the sins of the world, or is that a story?
Well, I'm not going to get into religion about that, but there are those, okay, I will say this. There are those researchers and scholars that have made the statement that there is no such thing as sin, that it was created to suppress humanity, to make humanity feel guilty. That if you research the word sin and look it up and look through its root value and how it how it was made, the word sin, you'll find that it depicts something entirely different. So if you realize that 99% of everything humanity sees is a lie, history books, everything has been just about a lie. And the lie has been perpetrated upon humanity to keep humanity in the dark and not knowing about their roots or their history or who they really are or what the true history is, what the true history of this country is, because most people don't know. What the true history of Egypt, what the true history of, how did the Anunnaki come here? What did they do? Who is Marduk? Where does he play a role in all of humanity? What's his existence? Well, he was one of the higher members of the Anunnaki, period. And they came here and they did a lot of things over, 600,000 years ago.
Was Jesus resurrected, or is that a story as well, the resurrection?
That also has been argued. That as well has been argued as well. There are those that say that did not happen, that did not occur. Then there's others that say that he was able to come back in physical form through his abilities, and some say that he was a Zoroaster, that he was he knew the arts, the magic, and he knew how to touch our God spark. He knew how to communicate with the higher self in each human being. He knew how to use that God spark to heal people. He knew how to do that, and these were all abilities that he had. He talked in parables most of the time to the people at that time, because he knew they didn't understand a lot of the things he was saying. So the best way he felt he could get his message across was through the parables. A lot of the times, if you read the different Bibles, there's many different versions, and a lot of them have different things put in them. But if you read the Bibles and you read through them, you'll see the things that are talked in parables, and see, those parables made sense to the people of that time. So he was able to get his point across, to communicate to them. A lot of people read things in the Bible, and a lot of it doesn't make sense because of the way it's written. John, Matthew, Luke, and how the different descriptions are put in there. The parables are, a lot of people can understand those a lot easier. So I think a lot of people have a hard time understanding the Bible. I think that it's confusing to a lot of people because of what they've been taught, what they've been told. Then they hear other things, and then they hear other things. So I'm trying to give you a much more broader spectrum of different beliefs on the reality of what was told to humanity and what actually happened are two different things.
So of all the religions, Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, Christianity, what one do you think is closest to the real truth?
That's a tough one. That's a good question. There's like over 1,000 religions on Earth. So there's literally just tons and tons of religions with different belief mechanisms and stuff. So, if you look at Hinduism, I think that you will find many truths in the Hinduism stories. the Bhagavad Gita. I think you'll find a lot of truths on what they describe, and there's a lot of storytelling in Hinduism. And from Hinduism came Buddhism. Buddhism was a throw-off of Hinduism. The Orientals, the Asians created Buddhism. But Hinduism, I think, is probably the oldest of the religions on the planet that I'm aware of. And it goes back thousands of years, and it depicts, I think if you look into it and you look at the Bhagavad Gita and you look at some of the things that were told and some of the things that are discussed in the stories, they talk about flying ships, they talk about the Vardas, they talk about the wars, the battles with the ETs that they had. They talk about the immortals and the Bhagavad Gita. They talk about many different avenues that you would never see in some of the other transcripts, some of the other writings. So my guess, and it's just a guess, is I think it's the oldest is Hinduism. I think that if you look that up, you might find that to be pretty accurate.
The name that you use, Prime Source Creator God, where did you get that name?
That name is used with different light workers because to differentiate, there's a lot of gods throughout existence, and the small God, okay, and there's others that have stated God, and there's a lot of different beliefs have different gods. Now, when you go to Prime Source, main source, the one, our Creator. So Prime Source Creator God, the true Creator, the force, the existence that we're all made of, the all-knowing, all-seeing, all-doing force is Prime Source Creator God. Sometimes I'll say Father, Mother God, because there is a feminine and a masculine energy in the force, and the force is everything. It's all-knowing. It flows through us. It flows through the God spark, which is a direct connection to that creation, to that force. You'll find, I'm sure you remember in one of the lost writings of Jesus, he made the statement, I use this a lot, that the kingdom of God is in each and every one of us. And what he was talking about is he was talking about our spirit, our God spark, our soul inside these bodies.
Yeah.
And, humanity has been taught forever to look outside itself, to look into the sky, to look up, when in doubt, look up. All of these sayings and things and statements that have been made throughout the generations of looking outside yourself, finding God, going outside yourself, go here, look here. And instead of that, I think, and it's been stated, where humanity has now come to the point of realizing that they're going to spend more time looking within, finding God within us. And that's where God is, within each and every human being. And that's
I like that.
Yeah, and see, when we do that, we go into ourselves. We begin to know ourselves. We aren't afraid of ourselves. We don't hide ourselves from ourselves. We meet the different things that perplex us. We view the different things. We interact. We become much more fluid and relaxed. We become much more loving and caring. Once we know that what we truly are, and when the statement's made, God made us in His own image. What that statement means is what's inside of us was made in His image, not the flesh. Really, seriously, it's the soul, the spirit within us that was made in His image. So we are an immortal ball of light, if you will, of immortality. We exist way beyond our wildest dreams while we exist in these bodies for such a short period of time. And see, we've been taught to be so connected to our physical. That's why so many of us fear leaving the body, leaving the physical, because we're disconnected. See, once we connect with our higher self, with our God self, we become knowledgeable and aware. We know what's after. We know. We go home. That's basically it. Our existence is far-reaching, so we expand that existence and we go home. We leave the body's done. It's over with, served our purpose, and now we're free. And we can do anything we want to do. Exist however we want to exist. Cool. And so that kind of, in spirituality, so to speak, and not religion, is to have humanity realize that as a whole, across all, to come together and to realize is that, when people say namaste, it basically means the God in me is greeting the God in you. That's basically what namaste means. There's other definitions of it, but that one I like the best, is the God in me is greeting the God in you. And all of humanity, all of the spirits, while we're here, we're gods and goddesses, all of us. And that's not the ego end. That's the aspect of saying that we have God sparks inside of us, our spirits. So in reality, we're all gods and goddesses. And the day will come where we will oversee universes, oversee galaxies. If you really want to take a big leap into the future, that's reality. That's where that's where humanity will eventually go. Advance. Our spirits will leave and will expand out. We'll change bodily, physical forms. We will branch out. We will be overseers and watchers of vast areas of the universe. It'll be a whole different experience. And as we've experienced as God sparks, as souls, spirits, as our higher selves, we take all this in, and we literally are experiencing for God, our Creator, our prime source creator God. We're experiencing. He experiences through us, all of us, everything, all civilizations, all existences of all life forms. He experiences through all of us, different civilizations. We're all connected. We're connected, everybody. Pleiadians, Andromedans, Syrians. It doesn't matter. We're all connected because we all have God sparks.
Well, thanks for that, Jared. I'm going to mute out. I'll let someone ask. But
okay.
That was great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, we got one more here, and then we'll close out. Good. We'll close out now.
Oh, Jared, this is Karen again. One more, if you please. You were talking earlier as Shamshiel and the watcher over the 200 and fallen angels and out of Enoch. And so the question is, when you refer to the fallen angels, are you referring to the Nephilim? Are you referring to the giants? And then also a watcher, what is the role as a watcher? Would you please?
Yeah, well, when you know what a babysitter is?
Of course. We all have one. Yes.
Well, when you have the 200 fallen angels were expelled from heaven. Lucifer wanted to take over the show, and they were expelled. And so they decided that they were going to eradicate humanity. And that's their full mission, is to eradicate us, get rid of all of us, So they feel that's a way for them to get back in heaven. So when they fell, there were, and Shamshiel is the 16th watcher. You know, there are many more before Shamshiel, and there are after Shamshiel. But the watchers basically made sure that things did not get out of hand as they oversaw the fallen ones. Okay? That they made sure that in many ways behaved themselves to a certain extent so that they wouldn't create so much chaos. Now, had that not have happened, we would not be here. We would not be here. If watchers were not assigned by heaven to watch over the fallen ones, none of us would be here.
Honor you. Thank you for being a watcher. Very much from all of us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes. Totally. So your service is just tremendous, what you're doing, not only in that role, but also with the meditations and changing the consciousness of the planet to a higher way of living in their God self. So namaste, aloha, thank you.
Yeah, namaste, aloha. Yeah, it's you know, there's many of us on planet Earth that are in servitude of humanity, period. And we're here to serve. We're here to love. We're here to respect. We're here to forgive. And we're here to care. And we're here to spread the word and to get it out so that humanity comes together, very simple, and starts meditating together and working together, and we can change all of it. You know, everybody sits here and says, well, why don't they do this, and why don't they do this, and why don't they do this? We literally coming together are, you know, we're changing. Things are vibrating and changing. As we grow and as we get more and more, things are going to change more and more and more, period. And eventually what will happen is you might be walking through a park one day in the distant future, and someone might be walking through a park that day, and they see a tree with flowers on it. It might be a beautiful spring day, and the flowers are white, and they'd like to see yellow flowers or pink flowers. And all they have to do is just close their eyes and open them, and they have yellow flowers on the tree. The next one comes by, might want pink flowers. There's pink flowers on the tree. So, you know, another person might be out in a field, and they might want to have a little water area, and all of a sudden there's a water area. See, the golden rule for humanity is not to harm each other and not to harm the environment. If we followed that rule, all of us across the planet, not to harm each other, not to harm the environment, so don't to harm the planet and don't harm each other, and followed that rule, imagine what that would do. Just those two simple rules. Nothing complicated. Everybody, all walks of life, everything, from top to bottom, from bottom to top, all across the planet. And if we follow those, these simple things for humanity that aren't fearful, that aren't caustic, that aren't combative, that aren't anger, and all of these things that are flying around, and calmness and peace. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you can read all of the religious books. You can research all of the founded religions, all of the existences as far back as you can go. And all they talk about is peace, is being in peace. When the Hindu, it's being in peace. Buddhist, being in peace. And in the Catholic religion, peace be with you, being in peace. The word peace is all over. And it's achieving peace is the actual breakthrough for humanity. It's for humanity to actually get to the point where it's at peace. All of them, every human being. That's when we look at animals and we don't kill them. That's when we look at things and we respect life. You know, and Hinduism and Buddhism, they won't even kill a bug because it's life. So and it's a process where we respect all living things. Period. People say, "Well, what if a big bear comes up and attacks me? Am I just supposed to stand there?" But generally speaking, the fact of the matter is that we are a collective civilization. We are meant to love and have peace and help each other and support each other and care for each other. There's some people in our civilization that can't take care of themselves. Not everybody is good at taking care of themselves, and people don't think about that. They're born and stuff, and they go to school and they learn things, but they don't know how to take. They don't really know how to do it. They're not good at taking care of themselves. So humanity steps in and helps them and takes care of them. And that's what this is about. And I'm not talking about welfare and all that other stuff. I'm just talking about genuinely saying, okay, Mr. Smith needs help. He's not good at taking care of himself. Mr. Smith could be 25, 30, 45, 50. Doesn't matter. So we help. We assist each other. We give. We're unselfish. We care. And that is part of the meditation. That's where we're going. That's the collectivism of humanity. That's being in a meritocracy. That's being in peacefulness. That's being in a civilization that really every single human has the energy, has the God spark. So when we walk around, if you go to a group of Hindus, all right, if you go to a bunch of pundits, Brahmas, and you walk amongst those Brahmas, they will bow to you with their hands pressed together in prayer. They bow to you. The reason they bow to you, they smile and they bow. They honor you. They're honoring you as a fellow human being. See, that's what they do. And a lot of Americans are uncomfortable. They go, why are they doing that? Why are they bowing to me? Because they're honoring you because you're a fellow human being. They honor you, period. And you imagine that, all of us honoring each other on a regular basis. Not, I'm not talking about worship or anything like that. I'm just saying honoring, because you are part of me and I am part of you. Seriously. If you do something in the course of a day, any of you do something in the course of a day, a night, whatever, a week, a month, a year, you affect everybody on the planet in little ways, little sparks, little ways, period. When you walk through a group of people, you're walking through their thoughts. People don't understand that. When you're in a big crowd, you're experiencing their thoughts. If you go to a concert, if any of you have been at a concert, and there's thousands of people in that audience, and they're all jumping and gyrating and screaming and yelling and just going crazy, and all of them, most of them are, it's because they're affected. It's all there. That's why entertainers get a high from all that energy. There's just massive amounts of energy. And that's humanity. That's what we're about. We're about that love and expansion and peace and joy and expanding it across the planet, inside and out. It's just harmony. And imagine being at peace. And I'm not talking about little times, but always being at peace. You don't have conflict. You don't have jealousy. Those things are gone. We've moved beyond those things. You don't have silly little arguments and complaints and disappointments and stuff. Those are gone. We're not bothered by that anymore. It's just useless energy being expended. We are one with ourselves, and we are one with each other. And you could be a drop of rain, and you could look at yourself as being a drop of rain and not the ocean. But in reality, you are the ocean. So I'll leave everybody with that thought, and I'm thankful that all of you came and came to the call. And I'd like to, what I do in the meditation, I always do, and I'll do it on this call, is that, I wish each and every one of you perfect health, perfect love, perfect bliss, perfect happiness, perfect wealth, perfect prosperity, perfect harmony, perfect joy. And may God bless each and every single one of you.
God bless you, Jared.
God bless you, Jared. Thank you for being in our lives.
God bless you.